Hi, and thanks for joining me today. In this video today, we're going to talk about self-acceptance or self-worth. Do you struggle with self-acceptance? So did I, and if I'm honest, I kind of still do today. So in this video, what we're going to talk about is how super challenging it is in society today with all the information coming at you, that it's almost expected that you don't feel great about yourself. Number two, we're going to talk about where that feeling might come from, probably from something in childhood and growing up, your experiences. And number three, some things that you could do to improve what you feel about yourself and get you towards feeling better about yourself. So let's get started. So first, let's start off with living in today's society and at your age. So maybe you're preteen, teen, early 20s, whatever age you are. I would say that in the world today, self-confidence and self-worth would be one of the most challenging things to keep in your world today. You are bombarded every minute, every second with your phone of a constant comparison on social media with thousands of people, if not millions of people, constantly comparing yourself to other people. Back in my day when I was a teenager, I'm now almost 50, I had a hard enough time with self-acceptance and I struggled with it, but I was in my class and at most I would probably be comparing myself to 30 people and then people outside of my class, let's say, probably under 100. And that was hard enough back in the day because somebody's always a little bit better than you in a few things, or they look better than you. But right now, with your experience, there's always going to be somebody, with like they have better hair, their weight's better, they're better at sports. Check out this person. They have all the things that I don't have. And now in the society where your worth is very much attached with the material things that you have. So brand names, what you're wearing determines your worth. The likes that you have on whatever platform that you're using determines your worth. All the outside things society is telling you that your worth is based on. And when you live in a society that's based like that, it is tremendously difficult to accept yourself. I would argue that the root cause of many things, causes of like sadness or discontentment, is a feeling in most people of I am not enough. I'm not enough, where you're thinking that somehow you should be better than you are right now. So where does that come from besides constant comparison to everybody else? Well, it could come from your childhood. So if you think back to when you were really young, you start getting influenced by the people around you. It could start from birth. So it could start from parents at a very young age that tell you certain things. It could be your church. Depending on the church that you go to, some are fantastic and beautiful, and some are very judgmental. And certainly for absolutely all of us, the day that you walk into school, that's one of the hardest times where comparison really starts at a young age. Um, and then it sort of starts eroding from there. Because we can all think of before school, let's say when you were really young. Do you remember some of us are like, we're big dreamers. I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to help save all the animals on the planet. You're naturally joyful. You're naturally thinking that you can do anything. You're super full of confidence. And you're super, you know your place in the world. You don't question anything, and you're actually way more happier in childhood. And then as you start to age, it starts to feel a little bit different. So let's go back to going to school. That's where you're going to start comparing yourself. So that's where, as a young kid, you start comparing yourself to the girl that has better hair, the guy that is way sportier, way faster. And then grades. And when I was young, grades were sort of announced to make the smart kids feel better about themselves. But meanwhile, if you didn't have great grades, you always felt kind of stupid and not the brightest kid in class. So I have this illustration to show you what I'm talking about of comparison in school and where that feeling of not enoughness starts to build from. So check out this illustration. So this is how I feel where my self-confidence sort of started to go when we were in school. So if you read what the teacher's saying, he's saying for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. And this illustration says everything I'm trying to talk about here with you today. So let's say you're the fish, um, or even the elephant. Pretty much everybody except the monkey is going to ace that exam. And then he's going to get a gold star, awesome grade. And then you're the fish in a fishbowl and you're wondering, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't climb that tree. What's wrong with me? And you start to feel bad about yourself. But then as a little kid, you don't know that fish are never supposed to climb trees. You weren't born to do that. Same with if you're the elephant, you're supposed to be grazing in the savanna of Africa. You're not supposed to be climbing trees. But in school, there's just a certain way that you're expected to think and perform, and that can erode your confidence over time. And typically, you start to feel worse and worse about yourself the older that you get. You start to listen to the opinions of others more and more. You're more influenced by it. And you start to want to fit in. And you start to give up little pieces of yourself to fit into your class, into your school, into your family, into society. And as you're giving up those little pieces at a time, eventually you start to feel bad, and you might not even know why you're starting to feel bad, but it's a process over time where you're taught to um, be less and less of yourself so that you can fit in. Now, why is that self-confidence and self-acceptance or self-love so important? Basically, how I have come to think of it is that self acceptance, or what you think of yourself, is the most important thing about happiness. It is the foundation that happiness is built on. And what I mean by that is, to the extent that you feel about yourself is who you're going to attract as friends. It's what you're going to attract as a job. It's also the partner that you're going to attract later on in life, and the salary that you're going to make. And basically, all of your life will start reflecting what you think about yourself. The worse that you feel about, the more unworthy you feel. You're going to attract friends that aren't great to you. You're going to attract a job that's not great, low pay, because that's what you deserve, that you feel that you deserve. And the better that you feel about yourself, the more things around your life reflect that. So the better that you feel, the environment around you changes. So basically, what I'm getting at is, what you think about yourself affects the environment and what you're going to attract in your life. So it is a crucial piece to work on, not only to feel better about yourself, but also to affect what you get in your life. I'm here today to remind you of who you were before the world taught you who they think you should be. So basically, when you came in the world, you came here as a unique person. You're not supposed to copy other people or fit in. You are born with unique gifts, unique talents. Out of the 8 billion people in the world, you're the only one that talks like you, that feels like you, that acts like you, that has thoughts like you do, and is creative like you do. And the world needs more of you. And this is what you're here for. You matter. The more that you are yourself, the more that you share your gifts, the more that you will feel better about yourself. It's like igniting your own light, and then you share that light with others. So you are here on purpose. There's absolutely no way the universe made a mistake by you coming here. There's nothing that you should change about yourself. And by being more yourself and having the bravery to be more yourself, the happier and happier you will be in your life. Here's one of my favorite quotes. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. That is exactly how I feel about that. That is the greatest accomplishment that you can do. Probably my definition of success is being yourself, no matter what, accepting yourself unapologetically, being yourself unapologetically, and going for all the things that you love, and expressing yourself, being creative, and sharing your gifts with the world. So, here are some things that you can do to help you feel better about yourself. Number one, take inventory of the influences around you in your life. What music do you listen to? What podcasts, videos are you listening to? Are they making you feel better or worse about yourself? Who do you follow on your social media? Is it a lot of things that make you compare and feel less than? Sometimes it's good to take an inventory of that and maybe purge the things that really don't make you feel good about yourself. So, also, just the people that you hang out with. Do they make you feel good about yourself or do they make you feel terrible about yourself? So it's just looking around and noticing the influences around you and being more mindful of those influences and trying to be places and listen to things that make you feel better about yourself. Number two, listen to the inner roommate in your mind, the things that you tell yourself. Are those positive or mostly negative? If you struggle with self acceptance issues, chances are you have a voice where you're telling yourself things that are not very nice and pretty negative. I like to call it an inner roommate. Like if you made that person come to life and you made it a roommate that just like appeared with you in your room and you listened to what they said, would you let somebody else talk to you that way? The answer is probably no. So make that voice friendlier to you. So at first, notice what you say to yourself, and then just see if you can make that voice in that inner roommate a little friendlier to yourself and watch the things that you say and say slightly more positive things to yourself. And number three, the most impactful thing when you're not feeling great about yourself is meditation. Because to go from a place where you're kind of negative and not thinking great about yourself, saying positive affirmations like in the mirror and when you don't believe them won't help that much. So, the greatest thing that you can do is sort of go to a place where you're not thinking of much. And even better, at the beginning, when you have very bad thoughts about yourself, a guided meditation where you're listening to somebody guiding you through a process and programming your brain and saying better things so that you can think better and better thoughts about yourself. So, meditations, positive ones, are one of the biggest things that will help you the most. That's what transformed my life. And I actually created a guided meditation specifically to help you feel better about yourself. And I'm going to link it in the end of the video so that you can easily click on it. So go check that out and then repeat it over and over until you start feeling better about yourself. And that concludes all the information I have about self-acceptance. Hopefully some of this information helps you out. Check out those guided meditations. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. I'm wishing you all the best and much love. Thank you.